What's happening, Canna fam? Joe F, Puffin Papa, the OG. Shout out to Dro TV. Catch my episode. Talk about my first time getting high. Afghanistan and Frana strain. Check it out. It's cool. Love you guys.
Hey, welcome to My First Time, the show about your first time getting high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman with Dro TV. And today I'd like to welcome a special guest. We have Joe, the Puffin Papa. What's happening?
Not much. What's happening? I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Yes, thanks for giving us some time today. You can find Puffin Papa on Instagram at puffin_papa and go to the website chefjoeferrari.com. So Joe, let our audience know where you're located and what you're up to.
All right. Well, Puffin Papa, the OG,
Nice.
Joe F. I'm in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Been here pretty much grew up here. Had a little respite. I was out in Arizona, played baseball at Arizona State. So I was out there for about 4 years.
Nice.
Ended up moving back east, but yeah, it was nice. So started this page, my page, on just something that my daughter had, she was on and things like that nature. And I figured, what the heck? It started out just to be fun. And all of a sudden, I just started getting followers, and it's just me being me, smoking weed and telling about the good old days.
Excellent. And I'm sure we're going to get into some great stories about the good old days. So we're very excited to hear about some of those, Joe, because a lot of our listeners and guests that we've had are somewhat new to cannabis in the industry. So the show is my first time, Joe. Not trying to date yourself here, but let's bring it back. Tell us about the first time you got stoned.
Well, here we go. Wanted to let you know I'm an OG. I'm 66 years old. I don't look it. I don't feel it. I don't act it.
Oh, absolutely not.
And it's kind of funny, seeing on here, and I would rarely, would guess that there's not many 66-year-old OG smoking weed on Instagram, but this is going back mid 70s, about 74, 75-ish. Now back, I graduated high school in 73. I was an athlete, there were the heads and there were the jocks.
Mm-hmm.
I blended into both,
Okay.
that's me. But back then, we were getting Mexican brown.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting a lid or a zip or an ounce for $20, 4-finger lid, you were golden, and you'd smoke it, and whatever, you thought you were getting high. But this was 1975. There was a kid that I played high school baseball and football with. His older brother, called him Mr. C. And he had kind of disappeared for a few years. He's about 5 years older than myself and Keith. This is his older brother. So Mr. C came back. He had been in Vietnam, whatever, but he had come back from the West Coast. And he came in and he said, you guys got to, with his brother and myself, some Afghan. Okay, what the heck, open it up. Now, this is the first time we're really seeing buds.
Right.
I mean, decent, but well, as soon as that fucking bag opened up, it was like, whoa, what's going on here? Well, long story short, rounded up, rolled a nice spliff, 2 pulls, and it was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
What had we been smoking before? This was like a whole new ball game. I mean, and we nicknamed it, we're going to go out, we're going to get the Afghanistan strain. That was it. And that, and when he would come into town, he would come in about once a month, and he would always have a supply. So basically, if we didn't have that, we were smoking the brown, and by then it was, you weren't even catching a buzz on it.
Yeah,
so we needed Mr. C's Afghanistan strain. And then at this time, we're starting to see a little bit of like Colombian make the scene.
Okay.
You were getting decent buds, but not still. This is, I'm talking 74, 75. And, $40 for an ounce. It was like, are you kidding me? 40 bucks. I mean, I'm not going to spend this. So you'd find someone to split it. But now the Colombian, the darker brown had a taste. Now we're starting to get the Mexican brown kind of just, went its own way. People were still smoking it, but it was to the point. That's when we first started. Now we're starting to look, for people who were coming in. Mr. C had his connections, his brother, myself, we knew some guys, and, we would make a couple of trips to Florida, down into the Keys, and next thing you know, we're back up in New York, and we've got some nice stuff. So that's really how, that was really, I'd say the first time I got high was on that Afghan. Didn't even compare to what we were smoking, the years before.
Nice. Yeah. So
Fucking nice.
the brown swag was just headache weed, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. You'd smoke, you'd smoke a joint, and 15 minutes later you're going out and doing it again. It would be that buzz for a little bit and
Sure.
and laugh. But yeah, I had the headache weed and the dirt weed, and we would have to put it on a tray, and separate all the stems and
seeds,
and let the seeds roll down and everything. But yeah, so that was the introduction in the mid 70s to Primo weed. And luckily, as I said, I had some connections that I knew where we could get it from. And that pretty much started it up here in Western New York. We had guys in New York City and things like that, but it was all low key, very, very low key. It was for us. It was for us and the boys. There was about 10 of us. There's still 8. There's still 8 of us OGs.
Nice.
We get together every summer around the 4th of July, and we call it bowls and bongs.
Okay.
And that's what we do. We just party. And my buddies, that's, none of them are on Instagram.
Okay.
But they watch me and they just shake. They just shake. And they Fitty. That was my nickname, Fitty. Joe F. They tell me you're fucking nuts. I'm harmless. It's legal.
Sure.
I've got my medical card. I've used it. I've smoked for 45 years. But the ball game now, it's changed. It is so changed. The different strains you get. I've got a little bit of anxiety. So I've got a nice indica, calms me down. I just had my right ankle replaced. I had a total ankle replacement, and it was basically, an old high school, an old college injury. I ruptured the Achilles tendon, tore all the ligaments, but I couldn't walk. I mean, the arthritis was so bad. Ankle replacement. That's when I started smoking. I didn't want meds. I did not want meds from my orthopedist. And my youngest daughter, she was the one that, I knew she smoked, but now we're finding all the different strains. I had never heard of them, but I got my favorites now, and I just keep going.
Nice. So I don't even know that there's the Mexican brown around anymore. I haven't seen it in years, which is a good thing. But can you just talk a little bit about back then? Was that all there was until the Afghan and the Colombia? And then...
that was pretty much it. I mean, that was always around. The Mexican brown was always around. Now you would get certain qualities, you said, if you've got a 4-finger zip,
sure,
mostly shake, but then you would get,
so nobody was growing it back then.
There were a couple of guys growing, but one of my buddies actually is like in 1975, he had a nice little growing in the basement, and it was every day. And I remember, when he finally, and that's what it was. It was the Mexican brown, because that's where he got the seeds and
right,
whatever. And that tasted, that you got a taste out of at least. But just the return on what he grew was nothing, but that's all that was around. That's all that was around. And occasionally, when something would come into town, and if you were lucky enough to, as I said, I had friends, and when something decent would, make it in the area, you do whatever you try to do to get it.
Sure.
But it was basically the Mexican brown, the Colombian, you would get a little bit of Jamaican, and stuff like that. But that was from, you knew people that were down there. They would go visit and come back, and they'd come back with a little bag, whatever, and you'd take a couple hits and go, oh.
So when was it? Like the 90s? Was that when you started to see more of the different kinds of buds and flavors?
Probably. The early 90s is when things really started to take off. Now, here's a story, getting back to the Mexican brown and with the Colombian. Now, two OG buddies of mine, a couple of years ahead of me, they are Cornell graduates.
Okay.
And actually, they are two of the fathers of the genetics. They're the fathers of New York City diesel. Okay. They created the genetics for it. Well, when they were at Cornell University, and basically they crossed Colombian and Mexican brown and whatever, and they came up with this freaking taste. Now you're talking that this is probably in 1980. And it was just, and to this day, they're still my very good friends. I've had people ask me, that they don't own the genetics because it's still part of Cornell, but they still dabble. Let me put it that way. And right. They have been very, very generous over the years to the boys. I can say that. I'm going to have them watch as Neil and Peter. You guys rock. They're the OG. They're the OGs. I mean, they're a couple years older than me, but yeah, it was great. Then when that started, and now you started seeing all these other strains, and a lot of it was coming in from Cali. A lot of people coming from Northern California. The Mendo. I mean, one of the first different strains I can remember. This is early 90s, around there. Mendo breath. Mm-hmm. And they'd say, okay, Mendo breath. And then you found out, oh, that was from Mendocino County. So then you found out if someone was going to Mendo County and coming back east, you say, okay, you come and see us first.
Right.
And but yeah, then the strain, and a lot of it, I couldn't, the names, they were just numbers. It was just numbers back then. Here, I got an 8. But that's when you were starting to see colas like they would come in and you'd open the bags and just a whole different ball game. I went for probably about 15 years. I've always smoked, but it would be the point then, I was working, I had a CDL license, always smoked, but it would be maybe on the weekends, it wasn't a daily ritual, like until I started to get the arthritis and stuff. And then, it's daily. And I've been doing it for a long time. And it's just, I'm grateful for the people in the business now, because they are major league. Mm-hmm. Their genetics and how they come up with this, it's just, it's amazing. The taste, there's a couple of actually friends of my son, local growers here, just basically for themselves organically. And these guys know what they're doing. I mean, and hopefully once New York is just starting, I think, to look into getting licenses. Unfortunately, what's going to happen. It's going to be, big companies, big corporations, but there's a couple of, a couple of my buddies have, really looked into it, and I hope they can, because they know what they're doing, and we'll see where it goes. Legalization, I don't know when. Dispensaries, they have just started to offer flower. For a while there, you were just getting concentrates, when it was legalized, medical marijuana was legalized in New York. You would get vape pens and and edibles. Then they started, you could get ground flower. That was and that was nothing. It just, for what they were charging. But now, recently, I think within the last month or so, the main dispensary locally around here is called MedMen. I don't know if they're national, but now, they've started to sell, bud. And I took a drive up there and took a look-see, and they've got a nice selection, but it's the corporate game. It's the corporate game.
Yep. So when it was coming in from Afghanistan, how did it make its way here?
Well, it all came from Florida. Okay. They were this Mr. C and his buddies down there. They, like I said, they would come up, maybe about once a month, something like that. And it was kind of, the other, I knew some of his buddies, but we kind of just ran around. We knew what was going on, but we just wanted to play on the QT. We didn't want to know too much.
Sure.
But then, year or so comes by, and now they're looking for someone. They didn't want to make the trip all the time. Okay, we'll fucking go. We didn't care. We did not care. It didn't matter. We were between 21, 22 years old. Sure. And we would drive straight down to the Keys. There would be 4 of us.
What would you pick up before you? How much?
We would come back with probably a minimum of 10 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But most of it, we would come from Rochester, drive down. There were 4 of us. On the way back, we go into Long Island, make our delivery, drop off here and there, and ours, and the couple of pounds would come back to Rochester, and the boys would say it was just for us. Right. At the time, a couple of guys, and sure. for friends like that, that's all we did it for. Now, Mr. C's brother, Keith, they were getting paid for it, and as I said, generous. That's the only reason. But me and 3 other guys, we're going for the ride and for the buzz, free buzz. Mm-hmm. And that was it. But yeah, and how it was coming in then, it was kind of sketchy. You're down in the Florida Keys, you pull down this road here, all of a sudden I think a boat comes in, like a little rowboat, and they just start fucking throwing it. Wow. And Mr. C's there with a couple of buddies, and they're sitting there like this. Okay, there's 1, 2. All right, you got your 10. Rochester, get the fuck out of here. And we're going by. Okay, see ya.
Hey, everybody. I want to quickly mention Food Forest Abundance. Food Forest Abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. Well, I remember stories of, I'm 40, so I was born in 81, Joe. Mm-hmm. And so I came in the scene late 90s, but, you read stories of bodies, soldiers coming back from Vietnam with the caskets filled with all kinds of drugs and stuff. So I know Vietnam and Afghanistan, they're not next to each other, but I just wasn't sure exactly how it was coming in, because there's all kinds of stories. You look at George Young and Blow, and right. Mm-hmm. So but excellent. Some great stories. Yeah. And some of it they would, later on, this was after the Florida situation, and I wasn't making the trips anymore, but they would be going to New Mexico. And stuff coming up from Mexico. I mean, that's when everything started to, and you were very careful. The feds weren't, it's not like it is today. It's right. not like it is today. You just were careful. What we were doing, you had to know somebody, and they had to fucking trust you. Mm-hmm. And if they trusted you, whoever is around them knew that you were fucking good. And to this day, there's guys I know in the Keys that have been there fucking 50 years, and I haven't been down there. But last time was probably 2012. Okay. And Isla Mirada, there's a guy still there. Drove by and I hadn't seen him in 35 years, and it was like yesterday. Wow, awesome. Yeah. Crazy. So your story of smoking the Afghan Kush for the first time, that was like the real high, right? Mm-hmm. A huge difference between what was available back then and available now. Can you think of a time recently in the last 5-10 years where you smoked something that completely knocked you on your ass, or just? Yes. Okay. Yeah. There's just a strain. This was
middle of last summer, Skywalker OG.
Yes.
And smelled it. And I'll tell you, the first rip I took, it was like, oh boy. Now my wife happened to come in and we were going to go to Costco or something. So we're going to go to Costco. I'm there. I don't think I want to go right now. And it was like, holy crap. Wow. Ended up getting more of it. And I still have a little bit of it left, but that one was an ass kicker. I'm not going to call it a wheelchair weed,
sure,
but it was one of those ones that really, it put you back and started thinking. Another one that I've really gotten into, I'm a sativa guy. I'm big into sativas because basically back in the day, that that's all that was around. Everything was sativa.
right.
You would make fun. Oh, I'm going to go get some cannabis sativa. That's what we would call it. Indica. Right. There was nothing like that. But lately, papaya punch is right now. That's my go-to favorite strain.
Okay.
I love it. It's very fruity, light in color, smell, and it's an uplifting. The mornings I wake up and I don't want to do crap, little bong rip and it's ready. It's smooth. The high will last, it sticks with you, and I'm getting spoiled now. The thing that's great, I was supposed to do this with you last week, but I had freaking dental surgery. Right. So I had to have a, week tolerance breaks. I couldn't smoke because of dry socket and all that crap. And I tell you, that was the first pull that I took the other day was the organically grown OG Kush from this kid local. And it was like, oh, hello. Welcome back. And I think I posted it yesterday.
Yeah, you posted the video. Yeah. That's right. So you did a bong rip before we came on, Joe. Are you a bong guy, a joint guy? You do dabs, edibles?
I do dabs. I'm pretty much bong. I roll spliffs, granted in the winter, we're not going outside now. Yeah. Weather is just starting to break here. Actually, it's sunny out. It's supposed to be 60 today. Nice. Rest of the week. So, right out, I'm in my dining part of the kitchen. My garage is right back here, and it's like a Florida room. We call it the club.
Okay.
But I've got cable TV out there, refrigerator, so that's where we hang. It's like a little cafe, and that usually in the summertime at night it's spliffs. We just twist one up and smoke it. But mostly in the winter in the house, bong right over there, and that's it. Yeah. Dabs are, when that was introduced to me, concentrates, gotten into that, and what I found, nothing beats the taste of a good, you got to have glass. Give me a quartz banger. I've got, a couple of, nectar collectors. You do get the taste, but nothing beats, give me a nice dab rig, quartz banger. And we go from there. But that's a whole different experience, because my buddies, they had no fucking clue. They had no fucking clue. What are you talking about? Come on, let's go. And it's like, holy Jesus, and it's too much of a pain in the ass. I'm okay, whatever. So, but I've got a couple of guys got their G Pen Connects now, so they're low key, but yeah, just about everything. It's, and the quality of stuff now is just, it's outstanding. My tolerance is, it's so high right now. But I can always catch a buzz. I smoke exotics, I smoke Primo, because I said that's all we ever did. When we get stuff, it was for our use. And as I say, the two fathers of the New York City Diesel have taken very, very good care of us. So we always have ample supply available to the boys.
Excellent. Well, I might be coming up to Rochester in June. So my girl's from Rochester.
Oh, cool.
She wants to go see some family. So I might have to hit you up when I'm.
Oh, it'd be an honor. It would be an honor, for sure. Now, where are you located?
We're in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're ever down this way,
you know what?
It would be my honor. So
you know what? We're thinking about, once the weather freaking breaks here a little bit, we're ready for a roadie. And actually, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, both, lucky them, they winter in Florida.
Okay.
So one's in Boynton Beach and another one's in Naples. So
Nice.
we've had the offer, but the COVID and all that stuff, and now with the gas prices, because we just bought a Ram truck last year, because we're looking, we've traveled to the Caribbean so much over the years. I'm ready to stay local. We went to Maine, the coast of Maine, for the first time last year.
Okay.
And when people would say beach on their Maine, I'm thinking rocky coast.
Yeah.
We fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love.
Where'd you go? York Beach?
No, we went to Old Orchard Beach.
Old Orchard, yeah.
And then we were in Ogunquit.
Ogunquit, yeah.
And it was absolutely beautiful. Plus, the dispensaries there, they recognize New York cards. I've met a couple of really good friends on Instagram who work in the dispensaries. They take care of the OG, which is very kind to them. So yeah, we've made a couple of trips up there, and it's nice. So we were saying, what, traveling abroad, we've done it for so long. 15 years, twice a year, we would go to the Dominican Republic. Love it.
Nice.
COVID hit, whatever. Now, what? We're looking, we'll buy a little trailer. That's why we got the truck. And we're going to go to Florida. We're going to probably go. My sister is in Pasadena. We're going to drive cross country.
Nice.
Once this gas crisis and get settled. But yeah, we're just going to travel, and it's cool.
Awesome. I'm from Massachusetts, so I know Maine very well. It's beautiful up there, and they're really nice with their marijuana laws there. So
and they know their stuff too. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame. Yes. We were in Massachusetts a couple of years ago, right after they had first legalized it, fairly close when dispensaries were opening up, and they would not recognize New York cards, but you could still go and get it recreational. And that was very cool. I'm trying to think of where we went. We just not far in across the border, just almost into Springfield, but there were a couple of dispensaries.
Northampton, probably.
Yes, exactly. Yep. That's what it was. And it was mind blowing. Waiting in that line. It was an old bank, and waiting in line, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing OGs.
Yeah.
We're just sitting there looking. I'm talking to my daughter. My oldest daughter is 38, got a son 36, daughter 31, and the baby who is 24. So it was her and I that went, and we're sitting in the line. I'm looking at these OGs, and never in a million years did I think I'd be waiting online to go in and buy, and we're all just shaking our head like, man. A couple of the locals were like, man, unbelievable. You would have been here a week ago, you would have waited in line 3 hours. But I tell you, they knew their stuff. I mean, very, very organized, in and out. They would hand you a menu as you're ready to walk in, let you, 10 people in at a time, but very nice.
Awesome. Well, Joe, I'm sure we could talk for an hour. And I'm more than happy to do so, but I want to make sure we get into Puffin Papa and Chef Joe. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, your channel. What is Chef Joe? Were you a chef?
Yeah. Yes. We have a catering business.
Okay. Awesome.
Ferrari's Cucina Italiana. Well, since COVID, pretty much we're done. I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. Okay. It's like a pick and choose now, mostly for family, but we were in it for 19 years. Hence, I still keep the website up, and it's basically word of mouth. But now it's gotten to the point where I'm done. I'm done. If someone wants something, I'm more than happy. But I get calls like we've had great, requests for graduations this summer. And they just, it's done. Not ready to do it again.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and I love cooking. A lot of the recipes, I learned from my grandmother, my mother, and my father was an awesome cook. And basically, that wasn't professionally trained. And I drove a Budweiser truck for 10 years. And actually, that's how I met my wife. She was a bartender, but That's how
awesome.
I would get recipes, bars and restaurants that I would deliver to. So when are you going to come for dinner? We'd go for dinner, try something like, oh my, this is amazing. I go in, delivering next week. Chef, yeah, you were here last week. This was my first introduction to greens and beans, sauteed escarole, cannellini beans, and Italian sausage. And it was a peasant dish. Back growing up, my mother and father eat greens. I'm like, oh, you kidding me? Now it's a delicacy in the Northeast, your greens and beans. I would ask them, how'd you do it? They would share the recipes. I'm not, I was no threat to them, but basically that's how there's in the Northeast, basically in the Rochester area, chicken French, veal French, chicken Francaise. It's a Rochester staple. I learned from a guy, John Fufu, rest his soul. He would make it with white wine. It's basically an egg wash. You fry a chicken breast, and it's usually a Marsala wine, butter, and a little bit of lemon. Fuf hated Marsala wine. He would do it with a Sauvignon Blanc. And that's how I do mine. And I've taken it and people just, oh my God, your chicken French. I will put my chicken French, artichoke French up against anybody still in Rochester. And it's cool. I post a couple of pictures on the Puffin Papa, but now to advance into that, as I said, that started as kind of a whim from my daughter. Right. With all the Black Lives Matter, there was an older woman. I can't think of what her handle was, and whatever, but she was being pretty nasty. Some racist crap came out. And it was just, you know what? I got on and I said, I'm going to make a and I just came out and just started. I got on her. It's just bullshit. But, I don't agree with you. And, have some compassion. And, she had whatever million followers, but I think she ended up getting banned. But and that started, I would just come on every day, talk about, being kind, being nice. Hey, I've struggled with anxiety and this stuff. Never knew what it was. But mental health has gotten to be so important to me. I'm a mental health advocate. I promote that on my page. Anything to help people. But that's what I'm here for, and to make people laugh. It's just me being me. No bullshit. I don't fuck around. And if people, and I said, I've got friends. I've met so many nice people on Instagram. I mean, the Canna family is wonderful. They're phenomenal. Awesome. We're all like this, all in it for one reason. Just for the enjoyment and the differences, for what you need it for. It's not just to get high. Yeah, sure it is, but something you need. I needed it for my ankle. It was brutal. As I said, I didn't want the meds. How many Tylenol can I take a day? I got my strains at night, a couple of decent hybrids, and after a while, I'm like, it would make me relax, but loosen it up, and it would help the pain. My shoulder, all my old sports injuries, are coming back here in my 60s. Right. I've got a couple of Instagram. They've sent me some CBD roll-on that I've used for about 2 months now, and it is amazing. I'm going to try Plain Jane. I'm going to give them a shout out because they're awesome. But the CBD that is out there now, but my wife takes it. She has stomach issues. She's had a few surgeries, and her full spectrum tincture just calms her, and it's been a godsend for her. And for me as well. The CBD and their different qualities, and so I'm grateful, very, very grateful.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Joe, being an awesome guest, the OG, living legend. Here we are, Puffin Papa. So thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us.
I appreciate it very much. Anytime. Next time I can get in a couple of good stories, but Mike, I really appreciate your time, everyone out there. Joe F, the fucking OG, Puffin Papa, check me out.
Yeah, let everybody know where they can find you, where you're most active.
Right there, it's Puffin_Papa.
Okay.
I have a backup page on there as well because I did get taken off the page for about 2 weeks, and I didn't. they're messing with a can of fam, but it just harmless, and the bots should have better things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you much. That's our episode for today. I want to thank Puffin Papa, the OG, for checking in with us and sharing his first time. And for everyone out there tuned in, thank you. And
appreciate it.
Smoke them if you got them.
You got it. Later.